the guys who approach you without even getting any cues from you, they're the kind of guy who approach everybody.
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So my only thing is I would look back a few times. If he doesn't get it, he doesn't get it. But that's my cue.
Would you hold eye contact or would you just look and then look away?
I'm too shy to hold the eye contact.
Well, there you go. That's why, Irena. That's why they're not coming up to you.
I had the other day, I had someone message me after 4 years.
As in you matched with them 4 years ago?
We chatted 4 years ago on a dating app, and I'm like, what?
That's so bad. What was their excuse? Sorry, I lost my phone for 4 years.
You're like, I'm just checking if you're still single.
Oh. Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I've got a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we love to talk about all things dating and relationships and seeing what we can do to attract the kind of person we want. So without further ado, please welcome Irena to the show. Welcome, Irena.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. First podcast, right?
First podcast, yeah.
Okay, that means we can get into some juicy business that she's never shared before.
True.
That's what we love. We love. So I want to jump straight in, right?
Go on.
So first, tell us your age or your age range, asking a lady her age. And then one thing a guy should know about you if you want to take you on a date.
Right. Okay. So my age is, well, I'm not going to give you my exact age, but I'm in my 30s now.
Okay.
And yeah, so I don't feel it though. I just feel mentally I'm still stuck at 23.
You're still stuck? You're stuck at 23?
Yeah.
You still partying like you were 23?
No, but it's just, I kind of look the same. Like all my friends have aged.
Okay.
I look exactly the same.
You better let them ladies know what the secret is then. That's it.
Healthy living.
Healthy, I love that.
No alcohol, no smoking. Well, shisha sometimes, but no smoking per se. No drugs, no late nights, nothing.
Okay.
8 to 10 hours sleep.
There you go. And what's one thing a guy should know about you if he's going to take you on a date?
He has to be consistent.
Okay, say more. What do you mean?
Consistent as in how you are at the beginning of a relationship or beginning of dating, for example. That has to go on. Like you make an effort at the start, you still make an effort when it goes forward.
Okay. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, has your experience been like guys kind of stop making the effort? They kind of take their foot off the gas?
Well, I think in my experience, it's sometimes they get really lazy.
Like how so? Give me an example.
So once you get in the whole, they've reeled you in and you're emotionally involved a little bit. They stop making an effort. They would get lazy with making plans, for example.
Okay.
They're not going to take you out anymore. It's just one of those things, They get super lazy.
Is this in a relationship or when you're still kind of dating? But
this
like
is
after a few
once
months?
you get in a relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible that maybe the plans just look different? So instead of like initially trying to take you out somewhere nice.
Okay, there are no plans.
There are no plans?
No plans.
Wait. So if they're like, hey babe, let's have a popcorn night for this Friday night. Let's have a movie night in. Does that not count as a plan?
No. So basically the last guy I dated, without naming names, so the beginning, I knew him as a friend. So I thought, okay, I've seen him in relationships before and he's been like really good. Then he went through a bit of a hard time stage.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, Irena, I can't show up for you the same way. And I was like, that's fine. I know you for 8 years,
Wow, you've been friends for 8 years?
Yeah, 8 years. I mean, we knew each other. We weren't like best friends. We knew him.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, known devil's better than unknown kind of thing.
The devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
But so once I got in with him, he's like, obviously he made a little bit of effort before we got into a relationship and stuff.
Yeah.
But as soon as I did, there's no going out. There's nothing. You're a food influencer, so we can just go out, then that's going out. I said, no, that's like...
Isn't that not nice though? Like that's something nice, that's like a perk of your relationship?
It is. Well, as a bonus, yes. But if you completely rely on that, no. Because end of the day, if I'm going out for a food influencer thing, it's not like, oh, come around now, we're going to give you a meal for 2 on the house. No, I need to make content.
Yeah, you're kind of working.
Work,
yeah,
right?
I get that.
So you can't touch the food for like the first 10 minutes. It might go cold, all that stuff.
First 10 minutes? Is that how long it takes to set up the shoot?
Yeah.
Wow, fair enough.
So I need to make sure I get all the angles and all that stuff before anyone else eats it. So
there's someone called Charles who I had on, and he's like cute influencer as well. Yeah. He's like, yeah, the camera eats before you do.
That is so true. That is so true. Hilarious. Yeah, that is.
Okay, so mainly like going out on dates, but how is he in terms of, do you feel considered? Like, does he make you feel safe? You know, is he still talking to you? Like, does he have a strong presence even if he's not taking you out on dates when he's in the relationship?
No.
Oh, really? What?
No. Now, this is where toxic masculinity comes in.
Oh, let's get into it. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Right. So the whole culture, you know, not like how people are like, yeah, men gonna be alpha and all that. And they see this online, regardless to age. And I don't mean like 20, 30, 40. I mean, all of them.
Yep.
They see all that and they all think in their head they're alpha males. Mm-hmm. But they forget the definition of being an alpha male, which what is the definition? Well, go back on primitive days. Okay, well, what was an alpha or what was a male? That is a man who protects the family or the tribe, wherever he comes from, right? His kids, his wife, partners, whatever. Provides, which is go hunt for the food, gets the food home, woman makes the food, feeds everybody, correct? So same goes here. They don't want to provide for you. They don't want to protect you, right? Or make you feel safe. And by safe, I don't mean like financial. I mean, it could be emotional safety, mental safety, physical safety. None of that. But they think, oh, I'm alpha, so you should treat me like I'm an alpha, like I'm a king. I said, no, you can't be a king without a kingdom.
True, I hear that. So I hear what you're saying. I would determine an alpha differently.
Okay.
I'm not saying that a guy who's an alpha can't and shouldn't do those things. Like if he's like, okay, you're the woman I choose, this is the family I have, I completely agree. That's his responsibility, right? Yeah. I would say that an alpha though is someone who has the relationships they want and lives life on their terms. That's what an alpha is. Now that can look like different. That can look different to different people.
True.
Because if you have a guy, for example, if we're talking about men, you might have a guy who maybe he doesn't want a long-term relationship, but he enjoys spending time with women in a more chilled, casual way. So he has that and he has options. And as well as, you know, he has his career or he's doing what he enjoys, right? So he's very much living life on his terms and he doesn't have to really answer to anyone.
That is perfect. Yes. But be transparent about it.
So you feel like they weren't serious about it when they got into the relationship?
No, not with me per se, with this example. I would say they were serious. However, the other things that they promised never came into fruition. Okay. Like, you know, the guy wants to be married. Okay, married. We need a house for that, right? So let's go house hunting. Yeah, I'm going to go house hunting. We go house hunting. But when it comes to put down the deposit, there's either his card's lost or something's off.
Maybe he's not in the financial position, you know? So it's very difficult for people to...
That's what I mean. Just be honest.
Okay, so here's my question. Him not being in the financial position to do that, would that then turn you off him?
No, but that would not make me, that would make me obviously be more strategic when it comes to going out or doing things with him, example, like not waste money, for example, right?
Well, that's why you're a foodie, right? That's why he was saying it.
Exactly. So that comes into play, but you got to be honest about everything once you want to be with somebody.
Sure. I think it's different if he's like, oh, I want us to do all these things. Is it something to work towards though? If he's like, okay, I want us to have a house together, but we're just not in a position where we can have that yet, but this is something we can work towards over the next few years.
No, with him, right? The thing was, you pay everything and I just be a bum in the house.
He asked you to pay everything?
No, but he didn't make me pay. I mean, I ended up paying for everything, rent and the flat.
What, his rent or like just like splitting it?
There was no splitting it. He would always say, yeah, next month, and the next month never came.
How long did you do this for?
Nearly a year.
So you were paying...
I was paying the rent.
The rent for both of you for almost a year?
Yeah, and the bills, and the food.
Okay.
And everything else.
Okay.
And if I ask him to get a job, Irena, you're putting me down.
So wait, he didn't have a job?
No.
Okay, so I'm just curious, not that a job defines a man. What made you choose him in the first place?
Because we were friends for 8 years and I thought he's different, but he was not. I mean, that's one of those things, you know, you think you know people, but until you don't get to stay with them for for a time period, spend 24 hours with them, right? You wouldn't know what they are like.
But he had a job in that time, right? If you'd known him.
No. So basically...
Okay. You didn't do your due diligence.
He had his own business.
Right.
Which I wasn't aware of.
Okay. Yeah. Like, why? What we used to do that? Well, why? On
the front, it was a marketing company, I think.
Okay.
Right? But at the back, there was like all those... There was money laundering and all that stuff going on, which I was not aware of.
So he had a business, then he had a business.
Yeah, he had a business.
Okay.
So I was not aware of all that until I was really deep into in a relationship with him.
Okay. Right? This is making more sense now.
Yeah.
So basically, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
When you started, he presented, and at that time he was living a certain life of means.
Yeah, when I knew him, when I got to know him, yes, it was. And he was always like partying, always in tramp every other day, spending like thousands of pounds a night. That did not appeal to me. So back then I never saw him more than social contact, a friend, that's about it.
Okay.
Then I saw him mellow down last few years and I was like, okay, maybe I could consider him because he obviously, he always like makes a beeline. So I was like, okay, let's try. And I did know that he has some issues going on with his business and all that stuff, but I don't know it's this bad. And I don't know the nitty gritty of everything that's going on.
He's not going to tell you the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
on that, did he, because you said you'd known him for 8 years, had he tried it with you before? Did he try and pursue you before?
Well, yes, he had. But there were so many women around him that used to put me off.
What do you mean?
As in, he had this player vibe going on.
Yeah.
Back then, because, the more money you have, the more women, the more...
I would say it definitely attracts a certain type of woman.
Especially if you're like in nightclubs 5 times a week.
Yeah.
It's a different lifestyle. That's not something I want.
Yes.
And I wouldn't expect someone to change that for me because that never goes well when you think that someone's going to change for you.
Right? Yeah, I agree.
So I've always thought that we're not on the same page when it comes to what do we want out of a relationship.
Yes.
So I never really looked at him that way before.
Okay.
But I saw a change in him last few years. Obviously, I didn't know the change was because he got raided and everything was taken off him.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense.
And I didn't know all that. He decided not to tell me all that.
Right. Okay. So essentially the reason you ended up paying the rent and everything is he might have been trying to get that business back up and running.
Yeah, but it's been years. You have not. So how about get a normal job like a normal person?
Yeah.
And even if you can't pay the rent, which is fine. Even if you pay like 2 bills, electricity or water or whatever, at least show me some sort of commitment, right?
I completely agree with you. What I would ask though, I have 2 younger sisters, right? So if you were my younger sister, I'd be like, the moment you knew that he had a business, that kind of business, why would you stay?
You get emotionally attached.
Fair enough. It's very honest. I understand that. If you knew that before, do you think you would have still gone there?
No. If I knew what I knew later, there's no way. I would still have him as a friend. I wouldn't change that. However, there would not be anything romantic.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go into specifics, but I think anything that is on the edge of legality, one moment, and I've seen this happen. I grew up in quite a rough area, so I've seen it happen. One moment, they're high and fly and everything.
Yeah.
Next moment, they have nothing because, I almost think there's an element of why they spend it so quickly because they're like, well, it could go at any point. Like if it's going to get seized, if all my stuff are going to get seized or raided, well, I better spend it now and enjoy it because maybe eventually it's going to get taken off.
Because my first question to him was, why don't you have a house? If you're spending like 5K, 10K a night in tramp, which he was, why don't you put a deposit in a house, even outside London, a small place? Why wouldn't you do that? He's like, oh, I never thought about it. You could have bought yourself a house.
But I think that would get seized because it was so. You're
right. It could have. Yeah.
Hypothetically, we don't know what the business was, but hypothetically, if it was illegal substance selling, right? anything that is bought with that money would be seized, right? Could be taken. Whereas if he spends it, well, like they can't seize the alcohol in his system. They can't seize the holiday he's already been on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So it's funny because it's like, it's not a smart move to just spend your money like that.
Yeah.
But if you're in that position, it actually kind of is. That's the only kind of move, unless you can, you know, make that money clean.
It's true. But then my other question is, now he lives with his mum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you get a new house for your mum? You could have done that.
Oh, well, because that would be seized too. And then she'd be out of the street. She'd be out on the street. They take everything. Yes.
Like even if the house is on the mum's name.
Yeah, if they can prove and see that it's been, the money used has been claimed illegally,
right,
they would have every right to seize it. Listen, even when you make good money legally, the government still comes for you.
That's true.
Right?
That is
it's called
true.
Tax.
Yeah.
The government still comes for you. Let me ask you a question. What do you think is one thing that men don't understand about women today?
I think men don't understand is different women have different needs.
Say more.
Which means if a man is dating, say, early 20s, their needs, emotional needs, or whatever they need from a man is very different from a woman in the 30s or woman in the 40s.
Sure.
Obviously, it depends on her emotional intelligence and maturity as well.
Maturity as well. I agree. I agree.
But yeah.
Do you think her needs, do you think it's an age thing, or do you think it's what she's looking for? So like a lot of young girls in their 20s, maybe they're not looking to like settle down, you know, they might have a relationship if like a great guy comes along, but they're not intentional with it. And then maybe when a woman gets to her 30s or 40s, if it's like, okay, I'm definitely looking to find a partner, then the needs change. Does that make sense?
It does. That, and also when you're younger, like girls in their 20s, and when I was in my early 20s, I would be like, okay, on a specific height, a guy has to look a certain type, you know, all that stuff. Now all that's gone out of the window, because at the end of the day, that's not going to last.
Very true.
That's not going to last. And what lasts is obviously how they are, how they treat you.
Yeah.
Right? And the bond you share. That's not going to go anywhere.
Why do you think you learned that later, not then? Because I think a lot of young guys, because most guys struggle. Yeah. Right? Most guys really don't get attention from women, right? So when if they're talking to like the young 20-something-year-olds who's like, oh, I want him to make, you know, be this height, be this muscular, make this kind of money and stuff. Guys are like, cool, but that's not going to last you. But obviously girls like, they don't care. It's like, look, live your life, right? Why do you think, at least maybe for you, what did it take for you to realize that?
It took a bad relationship to realize that.
Yeah, that tends to be the case.
Yeah. And then whenever I see successful relationships, marriages, of my friends, family, etc.
Yes.
And I see both of them, I see the dynamics. It's got nothing to do with looks. And maybe, some of them initially was attracted, but then it's all about companionship. It's all about respect.
100%.
You know, more than love, it's respect. Because you fall in love, you can fall out of love, and then they make an effort to fall in love with the same person again.
That's right.
You know?
100%.
So it just depends on how you see things, and two people need to be on the same page. You can have different views as long as you agree to disagree and be civil about it.
Yes.
And you know, okay, you have a different view to certain things. I have a different view to certain things, but can we still make it work? It's one of those things.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
So for you, what would you say was your type before? And then what's something that you are open to now that your 23-year-old self would not have been open to?
Okay, so 23-year-old would want...
what 20-year-old Irena want?
6'2", has to be 6'2".
Okay. Wow, not even 6 foot, guys. 6'2", you know, it's gone up. The standards have raised.
Standard was really high back then. 6'2".
Okay.
Muscular, minimum body weight 85 kgs to 90.
Wow, this is specific.
Yeah, very specific. A specific jawline. When I see all my exes back then, they all had like very chiseled jawline.
Okay.
No facial hair.
Okay. I think apart from the jawline, I think I'm ticking those boxes at the moment. I think. But yes, continue.
Yeah, pretty much that. And yeah, and a nice tan.
Gosh, she's just describing me. What is this now? I'm just joking. Interesting. Okay. And then what about like financially? Did you care about where he was financially? Like, was it if he
in my 20s?
you know what I mean?
No, I don't really care.
Okay.
Because back then you just I did look for that being crazy in love with somebody and you just build things, right?
Yes.
Money was not or maybe I was silly. Money was not important at all. But now that's made me actually change now. The money is important. And I don't mean it's everything, but you need money to get to point A to point B, right?
Interesting. I mean, yeah, I hear that.
And end of the day, you don't want... I wouldn't want someone who's like super wealthy or super rich. I want someone who's generous by heart. So, okay, we earn that much and we spend a certain, we save a certain whatever, but he's generous. He shares.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't, it's not only money. It could be food. It could be like anything.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's important to me because I've seen some really wealthy people who are so tight and they are, oh my God. That it's just
how the rich stay rich, boy. Them. They don't share it with anyone.
They don't. Some of them just don't.
Yeah.
Because my bad experience that I had, he was relatively rich, and now I had a habit of taking Uber everywhere. You know, I took an Uber, a lady of leisure, and
that's why money is important. You're a lady of leisure. She's like, if you're gonna be with me, I need to have that.
I'm no more at the moment.
Okay.
But so with him, first he didn't have a problem, but then his mum came in and she had a problem with me taking Uber with my own money.
With your own money?
Yeah, mum and dad's money. But I was studying back then. So obviously my parents used to
So his mum had a
me.
problem with you?
Yeah, she's like, oh, she spends a lot. Like £20 getting here to there. She spends a lot. She takes an Uber.
Do you know what I think that was?
What?
I don't think it was because you were spending your own money. I think she was saying, this is a habit of hers, and if you're going to choose her, you're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah, but...
You're going to have to fund that habit. Which would be true, right?
Which is true, but then he drives a Lambo. Yeah, so how does it takes more petrol. I'm just taking an Uber. I'm not driving your son's car or any of that. I'm just taking Uber.
But remember 2 moments ago, you go, okay, cool. Someone who's like financially smart.
Yeah.
Right? So even though he drives a Lambo, that doesn't mean we should just be spending money because we can.
True, but
does that make sense?
But if I feel like, okay, I want to take an Uber, I'm not pressurizing you for money.
Yeah. Fair enough. But then, like you said, it was your dad's money. It wasn't even your money.
Dad's money, dad's...
And then if you got with this guy, it would become his money.
Yeah, but then the point is, I was just doing that to get to point A to B. Then maybe we could just drive together and get grocery and all that stuff. It was one of those situations, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying you should never take an Uber. Sure.
You learn to plan better in things.
Yeah, I'm saying the reason his mom would have said that, because remember, like, his mom's looking out for him. Right, so she's looking at being like, okay, what's it gonna take for him to be with this woman in this relationship? And so she might have thought that, okay, this is a habit that is not helpful for him to take on, which is why maybe she was saying that. I'm just guessing.
Possibly, but I also think I'm South Asian, I'm Indian. As Indian as he is Indian as well, and so is the mum. They have like this unhealthy attachment to their sons. I'll say it goes with Pakistanis, Indians, all South Asians.
Is that like a cultural thing?
It is. It is a cultural thing.
Okay.
So me, obviously, I was born in India, raised between England and India. So I've seen both sides, right? India and people from India, it's okay, your mummy's boy, all that's good. You should have a relationship with your mother and the mother as well. But when your son is being, he's obviously going to get married, have his own family, they think it's a competition, even though the dynamics are very different of the both relationships, right?
Yeah,
they have a competition,
yes.
like, oh, my son's going to be taken away from me. Or even like the other side, oh, your son's not no more your son, it's my husband. No, they're two different relationships.
Yeah.
You don't mix them both. One is a mother, one is a wife. Completely different dynamics.
Yes, I completely agree with you. It is to do with where he pours his love and affection into. So like, it's not uncommon where you have like a man and wife.
Yeah.
They have a daughter. And some wives get jealous of the daughter because she's getting more of her husband's affection than she is. And she's so used to having all his love and affection. And it's like, even though this is your daughter too, there's still an element of her, well, there's an element of energy that used to just be for her. She's now sharing that with someone. Now, normally you would be like, cool, that's fine because she's my daughter, she's part of the family, all of this stuff. But sometimes that's not uncommon either. So I hear what you're saying.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That is so interesting.
Like I've seen that happen a couple of times firsthand, being like, wow, like she's.
But that's your own child. Wouldn't you want your child to be loved by the dad?
You would think. Not that the child shouldn't be loved by the dad, but it's, but it's even common. Like it's even common where guys, they're so used to having all their woman's attention, love and affection. Now they have a baby and now the baby's getting everything.
I've heard of that one.
And especially if the guy's not getting intimacy, he's like, well, where's the woman? Where's my partner? All I've got now, I've just got a mother that I'm looking after, but I don't have the girlfriend or wife. Do you know what I mean? So it can happen both ways, but the principle's the same. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's so interesting.
That is.
So, okay. So I know you said you've dated guys who had a lot of money. They were very much your type in that sense.
I've also dated a guy who had no money. So, I've dated the extreme. And honestly, my first boyfriend, he is no money. He had a normal job, right?
How old are you though?
I was 20. 19, 20.
Yeah, I know, but you're 20. Like, what do you know at that point?
Yeah, but it was like he was my first love, right? So, and I was like, fine. My mom was like, yeah, you'd have to, obviously, you'd have to support if you want to choose that. You'd have to be with him all your life. You would have to support that. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. Because he was so generous with his heart, which means he would earn his money. He does, obviously, he pays his bill, whatever. He would still make an effort to take me out. He would still make an effort to make me feel special, like birthdays, Christmas. It make me included in the family, etc. Okay. So he had the biggest heart. Yeah. It's one of those things. So
would you accept that now? Kind of guy, average level, average financial capability level, but like you said, he's generous where he can be. So it's not going to be the same kind of lifestyle or standard that you've had previously.
Yeah.
But like you said, he has a big heart. He makes time for you, etc. Would you take that now?
It's now that's a difficult question, and I'll tell you why. Because
you just told me about he had a big heart. Why would you take it?
No, I did. But that was me being 19, 20. Now, I'm obviously financially independent. I'm not taking any money from anyone. My dad, for example.
Sure.
So I earn a certain money and I expect someone to be giving me at least the same level.
So you wouldn't accept it now?
No.
I thought it was about love, guys. Isn't it about love?
Now it's more about where you find stability. But again, I might consider if I find emotional stability with somebody, because that's very important as well, right?
If you had to choose, somebody who makes you feel emotionally safe, or someone who makes you feel financially safe, who would you rather choose?
Emotionally safe or financially safe?
Yep, you can only choose one.
Does that mean if I choose emotionally safe, there's the financially you're like rock bottom, or you're yo-yoing? Or
so financially, it means that he can't provide for you. He's fine, so he never takes money from you, right?
Helps.
You won't be paying his rent. Okay, he can look after himself, but he can't look after you as well.
And financially stable means
he can look after you himself to a level of abundance, but emotionally not safe in terms of you don't always feel seen or heard. He doesn't have a big heart like you just described.
Well, if he doesn't have a big heart, then money's not going to do anything for you. Simple as that.
Okay, so emotionally safe.
It's not, yeah.
Okay. I think that's good.
I'll tell you what, because if they don't have a big heart, you do something to tick them off. That's it. Your cards are cancelled. You're at home, you're maybe stranded somewhere, they're not going to give a shit.
Okay. Well, let's say it's not the extreme where he treats you like you're no one, but he doesn't make you feel how you said your first love did.
Yeah.
He doesn't make you feel emotionally safe, warm within a relationship, considered within the relationship. Maybe you feel a generosity with his money, but in terms of his time, in terms of his attention, in terms of his even emotional investment, it's not as generous, right? So that's why I was saying, like, which one would you prefer? Because I think a lot of the times we have to know, what are we choosing for?
Right. Okay. If he's not, so that means he's not, you can't say he's not generous then, because he's being generous with his money, and
money is the only thing he's generous with.
And does that exclude him being a bit of an ass when things don't go his way?
Well, I'm not saying they're still good guys, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is, I guess what I'm saying is, one fulfills your emotional needs.
Yeah.
But doesn't fulfill the stability side. The other one very much fulfills the stability side, but doesn't fulfill your emotional needs.
That's a very difficult one. I mean, my brain wants to say the financial is obviously gonna come first, but my heart is all about the emotional thing, because I want that in a relationship. It is so important for me.
I know. Well, here's the thing. One thing I always say, we can have anything we want.
Yeah.
But we can't always have everything we want.
That's true.
And guys can't even have it either.
You think so?
No, they can't have it either.
Why not? What makes you say that? Because I think between women and men have more potential of having it all, which means a good profession, love life, social life.
Well, I would say yes to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Anything worth having comes at a sacrifice. So if you are successful, there's a lot of social events you would have missed out on. Mm-hmm. There might be weddings and parties and birthdays you would have missed out on, because that's what it requires of you, right? So you may not have that many connections. There are a lot of people who are very successful, but they're very lonely. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, it is true in a sense that if a guy has success, right, and he's building that success, he's going to attract women. Very true. But even in women, he can't have whatever he can't have it all, because just from me speaking to guys, just being fully transparent. Actually, my producer and I were talking about this earlier as well. A lot of guys experience that, how you said that guys who are like tall, successful, attractive, they've got a lot going for them on paper.
Yeah.
But they weren't really showing up in the relationship how they should have.
Yeah.
Maybe they haven't developed their character because they've not needed to, because they've just had the financial and attractiveness to attract women. Guys experience that with very attractive women. That especially because beauty is more powerful on women than it is for men, right? Yeah. Like as a woman, your looks get you way further than your looks does for men.
It's true.
So a lot of guys have experienced the more attractive a girl is, the less character work she's done. And we all have to work on our character to have a fulfilling relationship. If you're loving this episode and these kinds of conversations, then I want to give you something. We recently launched the Kits Angels community. This is a sisterhood for women who are tired of what the dating scene has given them and are ready to take their love lives to the next level. It's a space for you as a woman to not be alone in your journey to love, where we learn, talk, and share our experiences as part of a strong sisterhood, with some leadership and guidance from yours truly, of course. Not to mention never before seen videos from me on how I've led dozens of women to meeting great men. And so as a thank you for watching this episode, I'm giving you a month's membership completely complimentary on me. Just click the Kits Angels link below, and when you join the group, message me the code phrase Angels Podcast and I will pay for your membership. Now back to the episode. It's not saying every woman.
Not everyone
out
there. Like, yeah, I kind of get that. If she's had from childhood, and even she didn't have those ugly teenage phase, where she didn't have to create have a personality to have friends or to socialize, then yeah, maybe. But most of us go through that phase of.
Really? Well, yeah, if you think, because once you become an adult and you step into the world as an adult, that's like, it's completely different to when you were a child or even as a teenager when you're under someone else's roof, right? So you can now explore the world. Like, the world is your oyster. And so if you enter this world as a young, attractive girl, and you're so used to abundance of everything coming your way because, well, guys are going to give you whatever because you're very attractive. You're going to get into the club for free. You're going to get on a holiday. You're going to get invited into spaces purely because you're very attractive as a woman, right? And it's very powerful. And if you have that for 10, 15 years, that's what you're used to. If you've never been required to work on elements of your character, what's the incentive? And it's the same for guys who are like very successful, very attractive. Like, if you can do whatever you want and people are still going to give you stuff because you're very attractive, or if you're a guy, you're very successful and very attractive, etc., what's the incentive to work on yourself? Ironically, I think even I'll find what the study is. The happiest people in relationships are people who are like just above average. They're the happiest people. Because one, just speaking transparently, they don't have anything to attract the really, really attractive people, right? So the people that they attract are generally more people who are choosing them for their character.
Yeah.
And then because they really value that, they make a serious effort to develop themselves to make that kind of thing work. And they both do that. And those are the happiest relationships. And it's not because obviously they're not super attractive, but it's because there's more of a necessity for them to do that in order to have the kind of relationship they want.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do that, they can't really attract maybe the person they want. So the most attractive people, actually, if you're less attractive, you're probably more happy.
That is interesting.
Same for guys as well.
But you know, that's also like the downside of being attractive is they see someone attractive. I mean men, because I've seen them say that.
Yeah.
They see someone too attractive, they'll be like, yeah, she's not. They don't even try. They'll be like, she's not gonna give me the time of the day, or
he might be like, she's out of my league.
She's out of my league.
Yeah. Sometimes you do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess they would be like, it would take a lot of investment for her to choose him if she doesn't desire him already.
Yeah.
And so they'd be like, I remember one guy when I went to drama school. There was this girl, he was in the year above me. There was this girl in my year, really attractive girl. He was a great guy, average looking guy, right? He wasn't like really attractive. He wasn't unattractive, average looking guy. He messaged her and talked to her every day for like 3 or 4 months before she went on a date with him. Now from that, they ended up being in a relationship for like 2 and a bit years, and then things ended.
Yeah.
But that's what it took for him to even get to a point. He had to give so much investment just for her to even give the opportunity. Personally for me, I would not do that. I'm like, look, either there's a level of reciprocal desire here, which is great, and then it's like, cool, then I'll make the effort to see where it goes. But if there isn't, that's all good. I wish you the best. Or nothing but love for you, right? So I think if a guy sees a girl that he really feels is out of his league, he's like, okay, I'd have to put so much work just for her to get to this point where I'm at now, where I'd even just give it a chance. And then even then, you don't even know if she's going to be a good person or not. Sure, you get the really good looking girl, maybe. And the thing is, that's the thing, it's not even guaranteed.
But then nothing is guaranteed, is it?
Well, exactly, which is why they don't try. Does that make sense?
Interesting.
Have you ever approached a guy before?
No, I haven't.
Would you?
The thing is, I am a very now obviously I'm very social and stuff, but growing up, I was super shy, like painfully shy.
Okay.
It would take me ages to open up to people.
Right.
You know, I would just like be in my own circle and all that stuff. But it was more because that was part of my nature, not because I didn't want to. I obviously wanted to make more friends. I wanted to know more people, but it's just like I'm so shy and not confident.
Yes.
Regardless of what I look like. It's just one of those things. So I think there's still not still an element of it, but I I've never thought that maybe I should approach someone and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if I like someone and someone is staring at me from the side of the room and I see them like looking at me, they would not come up and talk to me. It is so...
Does that surprise you though? Because I'd say like one with awareness of like sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Right? So most guys are terrified of coming across as a creep.
Yeah.
So they're like, I don't want to become across as a creep. I don't want to be accused of harassing someone. So unless they know for sure that you like them, most will not approach you. And the guys who approach you without even getting any cues from you, they're the kind of guy who approach everybody.
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so that's not even you being special. They're just, you know, they're just playing a numbers game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do you let a guy know that you like him?
I mean, there would be hints.
What are the hints? Tell me.
There's hints, obviously. So if I'm, well, obviously, if someone approaches me, if I don't like, I will still talk to them. You know, I'm polite. I'll still talk to them. But if I like someone, they would have my full attention.
No,
like,
before he approaches you.
Oh, before he approaches me.
Yeah, so he needs to know, or he needs to know there's an element of interest so that him approaching you is going to be worth it.
So my only thing is I would look back a few times. If he doesn't get it, he doesn't get it. But that's my cue.
Would you hold eye contact or would you just look and then look away?
I'm too shy to hold eye contact.
Well, there you go. That's why, Irena. That's why they're not coming up to you.
That is, yeah, I'm too shy to do that. I might do it for a second, 2 seconds, maybe. That's
3 seconds at least, minimum.
But yeah, I'm too shy.
If you did that,
yeah,
more guys would approach you because they'd be like, oh, maybe she's interested. Because sometimes if it's just 2 seconds, like when you're in like a social environment, out and about, you can lock eyes with someone randomly purely by accident. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you might just think, oh, she just looked my way by accident. But if you're looking, it's just like, oh. And then if you smile at him, hey, more guys are going to approach you. It's that easy. It is so easy.
I think I'm just scared of doing that. I don't know why. I think it's just nerves.
Really? Is it like afraid of rejection?
No, I think it's more like nerves. I'm like, what if I come across as a creep if I do that?
I don't think it's possible for women to come across as creeps.
Why not?
Because
there are women who can be borderline creepy.
Okay, yes. There can be women who can be pushy.
Yeah.
But I think it's very difficult for a woman to come across as a creep. I think because the term creep, there's a predatorial meaning behind it. Like when people say creep, there's an element of predatory behavior. And so I think it's very difficult, especially in a romantic sexually way, for the average woman to be romantically predatorial to a guy. She could be like, oh, she's really into me. But for me like, oh, nah, she's like creeping me out.
Yeah.
Unless she was like she was a psycho, then she's doing something crazy, then fine, right? But
there's a number of that in London, from what I've heard, all the stories.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think women can be creeps, which is the irony because one, if women approached more, they would have way more success than men.
You're right.
But also, there's also less, not only is there less chance of you being rejected as a woman because most men find most women attractive and most women find most men as unattractive. Not only would you be more likely to be successful, but there's way less risk of it being taken the wrong way. Even if a guy's not interested, he'd feel like super flattered. You'd even catch him off guard because most guys don't get approached.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, sure, I'm not a crazy, gorgeous, rich, handsome guy, but I've been approached like 5 times in my life. Like where she made the move.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
How did that make you feel?
I didn't expect it. I was like, oh, what? Really?
Yeah. Oh.
Made me feel good. And I was like, let me talk to her. A few went
Maybe
somewhere.
I should try that.
You should try it, Irena. You should try it. You had some questions. Do you want to bring something to conversation? What's something you want to ask?
There's a few actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's quickly have a look.
I love it when a guest comes prepared.
I have come prepared. So, okay. What's your takes on monogamy and are open relationships the future?
Ooh, great question. Okay. My take on monogamy is it is better for society as a whole if the majority of relationships are monogamous. When most relationships aren't, society tends to deteriorate because a lot of the time there are children being born outside of stable couple homes, lack of guidance, lack of leadership. It also creates, when you have, because generally speaking, when we talk about open relationships, it happens more where basically a man has multiple sexual partners, but the woman is only sexual with him, right? It can happen. There are relationships where the woman's got multiple partners. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but generally speaking, most women aren't looking to be sleeping with multiple guys at the same time, whereas guys are quite happy to do that. And so you end up having a large group of men, which is kind of happening now, who don't get anything. And there's kind of nothing more dangerous than young men with a bunch of energy with no reason to move forward because they believe they can't even get anything. So monogamy for society as a whole, beneficial. However, I think that it's going to become more common of people exercising options in relationships for two main reasons. One, we live in sexually liberated times now. It's not like back in the day where a big incentive for a man to commit to one woman is because he would get regular sexual access.
Correct.
But if he's a desirable guy where he can get regular sexual access from multiple women without commitment, that's a much better deal for him, right? Because he doesn't have to give emotional investment and security, but he's still getting what he wants. So it's much more difficult to get that kind of man to be monogamous nowadays. And most are going to say, I'm not going to say they're going to say no, but you have to provide so much value to his life as a woman that he's like, I can't lose you. And that's when you're in the position to be like, okay, well, if you don't release me, we have to be exclusive. And he'd be like, okay. But I think a lot of women struggle to do that or don't know how to do that.
That's interesting you say that, because what I've noticed is, and this boils down to pure habit. Once you're in a habit of having multiple sexual partners or different women, you might fall in love, and this goes for women as well. You might fall in love. I've seen that in women. Yeah. They might fall in love with a man, amazing guy, got married, all that stuff. 1 year down, 2 years down, they're going out again with other partners, men and women.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it does happen.
So I feel once that's in your cycle of lifestyle and you do give that up for somebody, and when that somebody is not on the pedestal anymore, because we're humans, we make mistakes.
Yes.
We would have fights. It's like siblings. Even if you're at home with another person, could be your parents, you would have arguments.
Yes.
That's just how humans are.
Of course.
Right? And so if you have a partner, you have arguments, you don't see them in the same light anymore, what are you going to do? You'll bounce back to how you used to be.
I completely agree. And this is a big reason why men will marry some women and maybe not other women.
Yeah.
And I even think that even goes for men. If he's in a habit of indulging in variety, and one of my friends said this, and it really shifted my thoughts on that, because, I want a family one day, in that sense. And being completely transparent, like before I'd, being single, I just date multiple women in that sense. You know what I mean? But then my friend said to me, he was just like, how can you expect to be with one person like forever if you don't have practice in being with one person? And obviously when I've been in relationships, they've been monogamous in that sense. But I was like, that's actually so true. If you develop this kind of habit, like you need to have practice to being with one person before you can then decide to do that. Do you know what I mean? So I think even the same for guys, that it can be, if they're so used to that, if that's the lifestyle they're most accustomed to, it can be difficult to completely switch off from that.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I would say is something that you said, that if they give it up for a person, that's when it can be difficult. But when they choose to be like, okay, I don't operate this way for myself now, then I think, okay, cool. That was a phase in their life, and now they're operating in a new space.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Especially depends what you want. I think for a lot of guys, if they're like, okay, I found a good woman to build a family with, build a legacy with, which is very important for guys. They're like, well, this is a sacrifice that's worth making for that. Do you know what I mean?
I get it. But that's why I feel the dating apps have ruined the entire...
Go on.
The nature of how relationships were, or how we desire them to be.
Yeah. How do you think so?
Okay, one fight. How difficult is it just to pick your phone up, download an app, swipe people left and right, right, and talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that happening. Like when I was on dating apps, when I was single, I've seen people writing, hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. They'll have a few days of good conversation, ghost me completely. Like they must have gone back to the partners. I don't know. Then they come back after a few months. Oh, sorry, I lost my phone. And they do that on and off.
Wow.
The other day, I had someone message me after 4 years.
As in you matched with them 4 years ago?
We chatted 4 years ago on a dating app. And I'm like, what?
That's so mad. What was their excuse? Sorry, I lost my phone for 4 years.
They were like, I'm just checking if you're still single.
Oh. When did they message you that?
2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh. What did you say? F you, or did you just not reply?
No, I was like, single, but I'm not available. Sorry. No, I'm not interested. Just not interested.
Okay. Single but not available? Yeah,
because it's a complicated situation with me at the moment.
Oh, you're in a situation.
I mean, I'm trying to be out of a relationship. I've been trying the hardest, but it just doesn't happen.
Wait. What does that mean? I'm trying to be out, but it's just not happening.
As in, the guy just doesn't understand.
Understand what?
He's at my door. He's blowing up my phone. Even if I block him off all my social media, he's going to go right to people on social media that are strangers. That why are you following her? This and that.
Okay, so have you ended things?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you're not in it anymore. This is just a guy who's harassing you.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
Well, what's the other way?
But I can't get rid of him. That's the thing. I just can't get rid of him.
I guess take that as a compliment. Like, you were so amazing. He was like, I'm not letting you go.
Yeah, but then, see, that's the point. That's the catch. You don't want to let someone go, but you don't want to pull up your socks and...
Is this the guy you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, but here's what I'd say. If you're still giving space for him to be in your life, that means you haven't really ended it. That means what you're doing is you're punishing him for not showing up the way you need him to. So that means it's not really ended. Or did you say, we are over, I don't want to talk to you again?
I've said that multiple times. But then what he does, I'll tell you what, and I've not been in that situation before. There was once where he admitted himself to the hospital saying he's dying. Then he said, oh, I have multiple clots in my lungs. Yeah, because you vape so much. But that's the reason.
That shisha.
Yeah. Shisha's not going to give you multiple clots. But vape is like chemicals.
Yeah, there's chemicals in
and
vaping.
all the coil stuff, which is not good for you, right?
Yes.
So, so he said, oh, I've been diagnosed with this. I've been diagnosed with that. He did that a few times. He checked into the hospital on his own, about 3 or 4 times. By the 4th time, I was like, you know what? This is like a cycle, because every time we have a fight, and I'm like, I want nothing to do with you. I'm done with you. You're in a hospital.
Wait, so is it a cycle where you will express this, but then you guys will reconnect after, even if it's briefly?
Yeah, because he would just be like, oh, there's nobody. My family's not here. They've not bothered coming to see me. I'm all alone, blah, blah. All the emotional blackmailing going on.
Sure. That's why he won't leave you alone, because he doesn't believe that it's over. Because you've said it before multiple times.
Yeah.
And if you reconnect, that means it's not over. So even though you're saying it's over, he's like, yeah, but she said that before and she's still here.
Yeah, actually, that does make sense when you say
so. Why would
that.
he? So, and I say this with love. You saying it now. Why would he believe you now when before to his perspective, it wasn't true. Because your actions don't reflect that it's over.
But I don't know what else to do though.
I think I could. Have you told him that you're seeing someone else?
No.
Why didn't you
because
tell him
I'm
that?
not. The last time I was single for almost 7 years. Because it was so traumatic, my last relationship.
Okay.
He knows that I'm not someone who's going to jump from one person to the other.
Why not?
I've never have been like that.
How long have you, not necessarily, well, jump from, not that you've jumped into another relationship, but maybe that you started seeing someone.
Like go on dates.
Yeah, maybe you could say like, I've started dating someone, so I can't talk to you anymore.
You know what? I can try that.
I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why you wouldn't.
It never clicked that I could,
Because that would make him believe it.
Yeah, but which also means that would make him go crazy. He would message 1,000 people that I follow on my social media.
Okay, but you're not responsible for that.
Yeah.
And if everybody already knows him, they already know he acts like this. So when they see it, they'll be like, oh, for goodness sake, it's this guy again.
Yeah.
Messaging me about my friend or my sister.
You're right.
Say that. If you genuinely want it to be over. But the thing is, you said just now, you're like, oh, because before you were single for 7 years, you don't have to share this, but is there an element of fear of being completely single again?
No.
Okay.
Actually, it was a blessing in disguise. So 7 years, I was completely like, no dating, no nothing, just concentrating on myself, work, went into my own shell.
So you weren't even open to...
No, not even going on dates because I'm not emotionally there.
Right.
Or I don't want to be there. That was just one of those things.
Yeah.
So when I did open up, which was last year, I was like, okay, I'm going to start dating people. Mm-hmm. Let's go on dates. Let's get to know people, etc.
Yeah.
And I was super annoyed with the dating pool because I'm like, it's not the same anymore. What is happening here? People are ghosting. Yeah, a big cultural thing about ghosting people in London.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, pretty much that.
So you're kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of my point though, as in going back into this crazy dating pool. You're kind of looking at that. You're like, this might be worth dealing more than that. Dealing with this guy might be better than me having to deal with that again and then trying to...
Yeah, but even if I don't deal with him, I don't want to go back to dating apps. I wouldn't go back to dating apps because it's just...
Yeah, not dating apps per se, but I guess just dating.
I would like to meet someone organically, like how it used to be when you were younger.
It still happens.
It still happens. It does.
You just got to look at them and give them a smile, Irena. That's all you have to do.
I need to practice on that one.
100%. 100%. What's something else? What's something else you want to ask?
What's your thoughts on ghosting people? Why do men ghost?
Why do women ghost? I'll answer it, but why? If a woman ghosts a guy, why do you think she ghosts him?
Why a woman ghosts a man?
Yeah, why would she ghost him?
She doesn't want to, I'll say, confront or... Yeah, I would say it's more like confronting. So or you're just not interested to even give them an answer anymore.
So she's just not interested anymore?
Yeah.
That's the same reason.
You think so? Then why do they keep coming back? Because women... I've not seen women in my circle or anyone I know that they go back to the guys they've ghosted. But with guys, I've seen that. Mm-hmm. Even with the ones I've briefly chatted to over apps and they've had my numbers, they ghost me and then they would come back after a couple of months and then they'll ghost again and then they just come back after a few months or about a year. Why? Yeah.
So just because a guy ghosts a girl, that doesn't mean he doesn't find her attractive. But it may just be that he's started seeing someone else or he's dedicating that energy to someone else, right? And then maybe if that doesn't go the way he wants or if that ends, he might be like, oh, she seemed pretty cool. Let's see what she's doing. See if she's available.
Yeah.
I think if girls ghost, they ghost in the beginning.
Yeah, so I'd say that.
They'll ghost like maybe after within the first few dates. Because you tell me, but if a woman still continues to date a guy after the first few dates, she's kind of established in her head that she does like him. Whereas guys can date a girl for a couple of months and purely because he finds her attractive, not because he likes her. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think ghosting for guys comes later, which I guess is kind of harsher because you're more likely to be emotionally invested.
Yeah.
So it can sting more as the woman. So I completely get that. I mean, it still stings to be ghosted anyway, but yeah. But I think when women ghost, they probably do it a lot earlier, essentially. But it's just essentially that someone is not choosing us at that particular moment in time, either for reasons we know or reasons we don't.
And you think there are telltale signs of a man when they like you or they're just attracted to you? Is there like any red flags or green flags that you can see where you know if they genuinely like you for you or are they just attracted? That's it.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so I'll probably say I always say there's a difference between a guy wanting you and a guy choosing you, right? Wanting you is wanting you for the moment, having desire for you in the moment. Choosing you is being intentional with you. One of the biggest telltale signs, if you're dating a guy and you're wondering, does he like me or is he just attracted to me, is can you meet with him where sex is off the table? Women show their investment through their sexual time. Men show their investment through their non-sexual time, right? So if I ask you, which girl is this guy taking more seriously? The girl who he spends their weekend with, they go on nice walks, maybe they read a couple of books together, play board games, but maybe nothing sexual actually happens, but they spend this time together. Or the girl, he goes around her house 10 p.m., they sleep together, and he leaves the following morning.
Yeah.
Who's he taking more seriously? Would you say?
Obviously the one which he's investing time in and not sex.
Exactly. Whereas the opposite for women. So if I ask you, who's the girl actually invested in, and who does she actually like? The guy who she spends the weekend with, maybe he helps her move some stuff, go for a coffee, but nothing physical happens. Or the guy that she goes out with Friday night, they sleep together, spend the night, and maybe she does leave the following morning. Who do you think she's actually more interested in?
The latter, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Maybe the first guy, maybe she friend zoned him, right? So in regards to that, guys show their investment through their non-sexual time, and women show their investment through their sexual time.
But then there's been so many incidences where men do invest all that time only to sleep with you, end of, 1, 2, 3 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And they would still pretend for about a month or so, okay, let's date, let's get into a relationship, only to ghost you or to say that, look, it's not working for me anymore. Because for whatever reasons.
Yeah. So guys don't really know guys don't know whether they really like a girl until the first few months, really. Because, and he doesn't really know how much he likes her until really they've started being intimate. Because sometimes it's, okay, did I like her or was I just really attracted to her?
Right.
And so when he has been intimate with her, the kind of lustful goggles come off and he's like, oh, I see her for who she is because I'm not being led by my sexual side. And then it's like, oh, do I like her or was I just attracted to her? And I would say the biggest determining factor is, did she provide the space for the emotional investment to form from him to her?
Yeah.
If she has, then he's more likely to like her after that point. But if she hasn't, then she might feel his energy start to pull away from her.
So does that mean that when the woman gets more clingy after she slept with the man, is that what you mean? Like she expects more?
She might. Well, if a woman has started sleeping with him, that's usually okay because she likes him enough now. She's invested enough to share her body with him. So it's natural for her to want more closeness and to be closer, right? And that's natural. I think that's a beautiful thing. Now, if a guy likes her, he's going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like if he actually likes who she is. But if he doesn't, he's going to be a little bit like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
At a different pace. Yeah, but we're going to wrap it there for now. Great. Okay. But we appreciate you and your energy, right? 100%. Thank you for coming on. First podcast.
Well, thank you for having me.
If people want to find you, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram. I've got 2 handles.
Okay.
So one's my food blogging, which is hungry_pandit. That's PANDIT. And the other one's iQueen Official.
iQueen. Okay. Ice Queen?
iQueen.
The I stands for ice,
I
guys.
for
She's an
Irena.
ice queen.
Irena is with the, and then queen
playing.
because that means queen.
Okay. We
Officially
love
just-
that. We love that. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your energy with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you.
Really enjoyed it.
Guys, go give her a follow, give her a like, all that good stuff. Show this lovely course of validation for the food, because a lot of effort goes into that on the page. But yeah, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode.